Hello, beautiful souls. Today's video is all about love, connection, and the little things that make relationships bloom. Ella found contentment in her life, although not all aspects of her personal journey were smooth sailing. Navigating the path of single motherhood was a challenge, but such circumstances had become increasingly common in modern times. Nonetheless, fortune smiled upon her as she discovered her true vocation, achieving remarkable success in her chosen career. Specializing as an exceptionally skilled and sought-after high-end hairstylist, Ella's professional prowess shone within an exclusive beauty salon. Securing an appointment for a haircut required foresight, as clients needed to book a month ahead due to overwhelming demand. Ella's reputation spread far and wide due to her unique knack for sculpting hair into stunning masterpieces, even taming the most elusive of locks into exquisite adornments. Beyond her technical skill, Ella generously bestowed each customer with additional time and styling advice, a testament to her dedication. Ella's son, now 10 years old, grew up without knowledge of his father, a shadow of the man who once held a special place in Ella's heart. Resolutely, she focused on building a life in the quaint confines of a small town, immersing herself in her newfound career as a hair artist. It was during this time that Mason entered her life, intersecting their paths within a cafe, often frequented by Ella and her colleagues post-work hours. Mason, a mature figure, instantly captivated Ella's attention, weakening her resolve in his irresistible presence. Mason's visit was business-related, yet the connection he shared with Ella was profound and passionate. He ardently courted her, declaring that he had never encountered someone as extraordinary as her. Ultimately, Mason became Ella's first husband, marked by promises of his return upon departure. However, time proved unyielding, and Mason's pledged return remained unfulfilled. A month following his departure, Ella's life took an unexpected turn as she discovered her pregnancy, grappling with uncertainty and indecisions. In the midst of her inner turmoil, Ella's mother added to her distress with moral admonitions. Struck by determination, Ella embarked on a journey to the town where Mason was last seen, a mission that led her to inadvertently overhear an address during one of his phone conversations, detailing the location to collect a sofa. The young woman confided in her friend, Ella, outlining her plans. Ella's perspective on the matter led her to believe that Mason might be grappling with some unresolved issue, accounting for his lack of communication. Amused, Ella responded with a chuckle, as she firmly held the conviction that Mason had simply ended their relationship without ceremony. Ella and the young woman had shared a friendship since childhood, a bond that bore underlying jealousy on Ella's part, though she adeptly concealed it. While Ella possessed undeniable beauty and excelled academically, it irked her that she fell short of outshining Ella. Despite her more opulent attire, Ella couldn't shake off the frustration of not surpassing her friend in appearance. Unaware of the inner struggles brewing within the young woman, Ella pondered whether her seemingly harsh reaction might stem from genuine concern. Upon reaching Mason's indicated address, Ella was met by the sight of a pregnant woman who answered the door. Nestled beside her was a little girl, approximately 5 years old. The expression on Ella's face communicated her purpose, prompting a bitter grin from the woman as she summoned Mason. It was evident that such encounters with her husband's extramarital affairs were nothing new to her. Rather than waiting for the deceitful man's arrival, Ella swiftly departed. With no desire to return home just yet, she sought refuge in a cafe, seeking solace in a cup of coffee while pondering her next steps. Nearby, two women engaged in conversation, unwittingly catching Ella's attention. Their dialogue revolved around impending nuptials, with one of them lamenting a significant hair predicament that threatened to mar her wedding plans. Left without anyone capable of handling her unruly hair, Ella couldn't resist the urge to intervene. Her extensive training in her chosen profession proved its worth, as she not only offered a sincere apology for overhearing but also imparted valuable hair care advice to the woman. In doing so, Ella left a positive impression, her voice resonating with genuine confidence and warmth that inexplicably fostered trust within the woman. Remarkably, Ella's adept hairstyling soon generated a buzz among the women, enticing a wave of clients seeking her skills. Grateful for Ella's assistance, the woman extended a helping hand by assisting Ella in finding accommodation within the city. Furthermore, she connected Ella with an elderly relative seeking a caretaker for her apartment while she was away. With her housing predicament successfully resolved, Ella secured a position at a nearby hair salon, where she continued to work until her child's birth. In due time, the woman resumed her work on a part-time basis, often accompanied by her baby. While she managed to balance her responsibilities, occasional reliance on a nanny was necessary. Following years of determination, Ella's son eventually commenced kindergarten, coinciding with Ella's pursuit of further education through various courses, refining her skills. The culmination of her efforts was swift. Emerging victorious from a rigorous competition, Ella earned a coveted position at a prestigious salon, immersing herself in an environment that enriched her knowledge and expertise. Amidst her achievements, Ella's friend, also named Ella, frequently reached out with a longing for a similar transformation, a departure for the bustling metropolis and a brighter life. Ever supportive, Ella did all within her power to aid her friend's relocation, though the outcome led her friend to secure a position at a local salon and rent a room in a distant corner of town. Ella's inner jealousy continued to gnaw at her as she watched Ella's success outshine her own. Persistently, Ella frequented Ella's salon, nurturing the hope of befriending the other hairstylists there. She held on to the anticipation that when an opportunity arose, she could step in and secure a position. Hence, on a certain day, Ella exited the salon and hastened her way home. Awaiting her was Mason, having diligently tidied the apartment and prepared for their cinema outing. En route, Ella made a stop at the supermarket to purchase groceries for their home. With a light-hearted step and a cheerful tune on her lips, she journeyed homeward. It was after crossing two intersections that she caught the sound of someone calling her name. Turning, she encountered an elderly man dressed in unassuming attire. Her initial impression veered towards homelessness, but on closer inspection, she realized he was merely dressed modestly. Breathless, the man extended Ella's handbag, revealing that she had inadvertently dropped it outside the store. The blood drained from Ella's face. The magnitude of what could have unfolded if she had lost her purse, containing the hard-earned paycheck, struck her with terror. Beyond the implications for her son's wardrobe and daily life, the rent payment loomed like a distant mirage. As her senses reoriented, Ella expressed heartfelt gratitude to the elderly man, even attempting to offer him money as a token of appreciation. Yet, he firmly declined, his voice edged with anger as he stated that anyone in his situation would have done the same, driven by decency. Observing him, Ella felt a surge of gratitude and noticed the signs of his prolonged absence from a hairdresser. An idea took root, and she proposed that he visit her salon, named Masanori, later that evening for a well-deserved haircut. Responding with a smile, the old man introduced himself as Mr. Alexander and pledged to honor the commitment. The following day, Ella commenced her work during the second shift, while in the evening, Ella made her way to the salon. Among Ella's colleagues, the understanding had long set in that she was poised, almost expectantly, for an opening, a chance to secure a position. This sentiment was often hinted at, though Ella routinely shrugged off such insinuations with an air of disbelief. That evening at the salon, there was just a solitary customer present, who listened with rapt attention as Ella recounted the events of the previous day. Despite the anticipation, the hours stretched on, and Mr. Alexander's presence remained elusive. Ella's patience began to wane, and she openly voiced her opinion that a person of modest means like Mr. Alexander had no place within an establishment of decency. In the midst of this declaration, the salon's last customer, on the cusp of settling his bill, seemed poised to counter Ella's stance. But in a swift and timely interruption, the door swung open, revealing none other than the elderly man from the prior day. With apologies and a trace of embarrassment, Mr. Alexander explained his absence, citing his desire to wait for fewer clients to be present. Seeking reassurance one final time, he settled into the chair as Ella prepared to transform his hair. As Ella went to work, not a single unkind word escaped the lips of the other hairdressers who had finished tending to their respective stations. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect, offering a striking contrast to Ella's previous outspoken sentiment. Contrary to her expectations, warm smiles greeted the elderly customer from the fellow hairdressers, with one even offering him a cup of tea. In stark contrast, Ella occupied a corner, contorting her face in discomfort. Just as Mr. Alexander was in the midst of dressing, the salon's proprietor abruptly entered the room. Mrs. Thompson embodied authority, an individual with whom no one dared to contest. Her remuneration practices were tough yet fair, based on merit and often stringent enough that minor errors could result in job loss. But the compensation matched the demands, which compelled everyone to tolerate her no-nonsense demeanor. A hush fell over the room, and as the old man was led out by Ella, Mrs. Thompson's presence dominated the space. With poise, Ella addressed the owner, asserting her lifelong endeavor to cultivate the town's premier salon, nurturing an impeccable reputation that consistently catered to women at the highest standard, creating an atmosphere of distinctiveness. Dismay colored her tone as she pointed out that one among them had compromised this concerted effort by attempting to serve anyone without discretion. Ella's disbelief had initially masked her awareness, but Mrs. Thompson's phone displayed a photograph that incriminated Ella, capturing a moment only she could have captured. The verdict was rendered unequivocally. "You're fired," Mrs. Thompson pronounced with stern finality. Silence draped the room, broken only when Ella gathered her belongings without a word and made her exit. A subsequent exchange transpired between Mrs. Thompson and Ella, wherein Masanori's induction was declared as Ella's replacement. Outside, Ella inhaled the outside air with a hint of greed, her thoughts shrouded in darkness. Oblivious to her surroundings, she journeyed home, her mind preoccupied. Yet, within her tunnel vision, she failed to notice Mr. Alexander, the old man whose hair she had tended, lingering nearby the salon. Those who remained behind exchanged glares laden with anger, an unspoken judgment that foreshadowed Ella's prospects of returning to work within that establishment anytime soon. Ella found herself genuinely perplexed by the treatment she was receiving. She struggled to fathom the reasons behind it, as she firmly believed that everyone should have the opportunity to carve their own path in life. After her colleagues had departed, Mrs. Thompson secured the shop and headed towards her car. However, an unexpected voice calling her name halted her steps. Turning around, she was met by the presence of the elderly man from the photograph. Repeatedly uttering her name, he chided her for seemingly forgetting the valuable lessons he had imparted to her years ago. Foremost among them was the importance of thoroughly comprehending matters before embarking on significant decisions. The astonishing truth unfolded before Mrs. Thompson's eyes. The man before her was none other than her cherished mentor, Mr. Alexander. He, who had shielded her from expulsion numerous times due to her fiery temperament, now stood before her. Their reunion filled Mrs. Thompson with joy, and she extended an invitation for them to continue their conversation at a cafe. As morning broke, Ella awoke to the sound of her phone ringing, a call emanating from her former employer. Picking up the phone, she was taken aback to hear the voice of Mrs. Thompson on the line, slightly agitated. Urgency underlined her request for Ella's immediate presence in the lounge. Ella, with time on her hands, agreed to the summons and made her way to the salon. An air of curiosity accompanied her arrival as she pondered the purpose behind this unexpected request. Stepping into the salon, her attention was immediately drawn to Ella, who sat at her workstation, seemingly absorbed in adjusting her manicure with a nail file, an air of indifference surrounding her demeanor. Unexpectedly, the manager's office door swung open, revealing a smiling duo, Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Alexander. They entered the hall, where the entire salon staff had congregated. Ella's astonishment knew no bounds when she spotted her recent client standing alongside her former boss, impeccably attired in a new suit. So great was her amazement that she even fumbled and dropped a nail file in her surprise at the remarkable transformation. In a surprising turn of events, Mrs. Thompson proceeded to introduce Mr. Alexander as her esteemed teacher, praising him as a just and sagacious individual to whom she owed a great deal. Yet, there was another piece of unforeseen news. Mrs. Thompson unveiled her long-held plan to establish a sizable beauty center within the city, a goal she had now decisively embraced. To oversee the salon, she had chosen to appoint Ella as the manager, acknowledging not only her exceptional hairdressing skills but also her intrinsic goodness as a person. A hush swept through the room initially, then a wave of excitement surged as Ella's colleagues hastened to envelop her in warm embraces. Amidst the collective elation, the only figure who appeared untouched by joy was Ella herself, her posture nearly overcome with emotion in a distant corner. Mrs. Thompson proceeded to uncork a bottle of champagne, filling the glasses and approaching Ella with her first piece of advice in her new managerial role: never keep individuals in your business who are capable of betrayal. Building a united team is essential. Setting her glass down with care, Ella approached her namesake, Mrs. Thompson, who delivered a poignant declaration: "You're fired, and from this moment on, our friendship is to be forgotten forever." That's the end of my story. I hope it inspired you, entertained you, or made you think. If you want to hear more stories from me, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when I upload a new video. And let me know what you think of this story in the comments section. I love reading your opinions and suggestions. Until then, stay awesome.